All right, we have some breaking news to get to here on Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Senior. Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic day. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. So Howie Roseman has found a way to pull off the impossible. He has gotten some semblance of value back for JJ Arcega-Whiteside, trading him to the Seattle Seahawks. Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, breaking the news just moments ago here on this Monday afternoon that the Eagles are sending Arcega-Whiteside to Seattle for defensive back Ugo Amadi, the former fourth-round pick out of Oregon, who came into the league as a safety but now was competing for a nickelback role to play for the Seahawks. And original reports had indicated that Amadi was going to get released by Seattle, but now he ends up going back to the roster, then traded to Philadelphia. So with that, it's a player-for-player swap. Arcega-Whiteside being sent to the Pacific Northwest at somewhat of an area of need for Philadelphia. Yes, Avonte Maddox going to be the starting nickel in Jonathan Gannon's scheme, but in terms of the backup, is it going to be Zech McPherson, who I thought played pretty well against the New York Jets as that backup nickel? Probably, and that'd be ideal for Philadelphia considering they used that draft pick on him last year, but maybe Amadi can compete for a roster spot or at least be a training camp body. A lot to break down in terms of this trade. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, a legendary figure in Philadelphia for all of the wrong reasons. First, though, want to hear from you in the comments section. Who won the trade? S for Seahawks, E for the Eagles. Chime in and sound off down in the comments section right now. Now, when the news came across from Pelissero that the Eagles were trading Arcega-Whiteside, I was a little bit surprised. Now, there were rumblings over the weekend that he was going to get cut. Over the weekend, he mysteriously left the practice field. I thought, okay, maybe the Eagles had decided to release him. Maybe there were trade discussions in works and they wanted to make sure that he was at least healthy so that they could put him on the trade block. But for Howie Roseman to get even a player back for Arcega-Whiteside, somewhat of a surprise considering this guy's career up to this point. He has been awful and one of the worst picks of the Howie Roseman era. You look back at some of the selections that have taken place under Roseman's watch. I think over the last couple of years, he's certainly been able to redeem himself to a certain degree, but there have been some swings and misses. Marcus Smith back in the day, Danny Watkins, and then JJ Arcega-Whiteside up there too to go alongside with Jalen Reagor. But one of the worst picks of the Howie Roseman era is gone, and finally we can move on, and we don't have to worry about Arcega-Whiteside maybe being something for this organization. He had converted from wide receiver to tight end, and even at that tight end spot, he was listed 5th or 6th on the depth chart. He was a solid blocker throughout his tenure, but that literally the biggest highlight for him. A lot of drops, limited production for Whiteside in this Eagles tenure since being that second-round pick out of Stanford. And when you look at defensive schemes as a whole, we're seeing a little bit of a shift in terms of philosophy for defenses. As offenses have gotten more space because of rule changes and changes in scheme, defenses have countered with putting more defensive backs on the field and then having some of these safety hybrids. And for Amadi, he can bring that to the football field for Jonathan Gannon's defense. He can play a little nickel, but also going back to his role at Oregon where he was the Lombardi Trophy winner, which is an award that is given to the player who best personifies what Vince Lombardi did throughout his historic NFL career. Amadi has that safety nickel hybrid type of versatility, so maybe he can bring that to the field and counter what opposing offenses are trying to do by spreading it out and having 4 or 5 wide receiver sets, but also these really good hybrid tight end wide receiver athletes who Amadi can also cover in the open field. Now, are you subscribed to Philadelphia Eagles Now? If you are, I want you to type real one in the comment section, because we here at Chat Sports greatly appreciate all of the support. And if you support everything that we do, you are classified as a real one. If you're not subscribed, this is why you hit that red sub button down below. When breaking news happens, we get the homies together here at Chat Sports and we push out a video. So make sure you stay subscribed for the best Eagles content here on YouTube. As for Amadi, stats against the Pittsburgh Steelers in that preseason opener, he was pretty solid. 19 snaps. He was one of the highest graded players on that Seahawks defense. Overall Pro Football Focus grade of 79. And once again, going back to Oregon, he came into the league as a safety. 5'9", though, so a little bit small. That's why at the NFL level, where he struggled to find his footing to a certain degree, he has been playing a little bit of nickel. As for Arcega-Whiteside, these are his career stats over 3 years since getting drafted ahead of the likes of DK Metcalf. My goodness, what a big whiff for Howie Roseman, but he's been able to make up for it with that trade for A.J. Brown. 3 seasons. He didn't do anything, nothing, zilch, 16 catches, 290 yards. Average yards per catch, who cares? It's 18, but that's terrible when you look at the receptions and yards, and only 1 single touchdown for Arcega's entire career. And really, over time and in the immediacy of the moment, it became apparent that Arcega-Whiteside wasn't going to work out. He struggled to get separation. That physical frame that he had, a lot of people were like, okay, at some point Alshon Jeffrey is going to be out of here following that Super Bowl run. Can Arcega-Whiteside replace that production and give you that jump ball, big-bodied wide receiver who can climb the ladder and get it in the red zone? He never used his size to his benefit. And actually, he played a lot smaller and softer than what he did on tape at Stanford. And here are the wide receivers that Arcega-Whiteside was drafted ahead of in that historic draft class from several years ago. DK Metcalf, Diontae Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Hunter Renfrow. Those are the receivers who went before Arcega-Whiteside. Now, obviously, if Howie Roseman wasn't able to move up to draft Devontae Smith after that tank job against the Washington football team a couple of years ago, and if he didn't acquire A.J. Brown, the miss of the Arcega-Whiteside selection would be glorified. It would look a lot worse than it actually is now that the Eagles are actually pretty deep at that wide receiver spot with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins having another good camp. Then that allowed the Eagles to absorb that blow of this monster miss from this front office and going with Arcega-Whiteside. And we'll see if, the Eagles are going to be able to get any value out of this trade. But again, nickel cornerbacks are important in the modern NFL because of the spacing that we're seeing and the fact that a lot of defensive coordinators are going with more secondary members and then those safety corner hybrids to counter what a lot of offenses are doing here in 2022 in the National Football League. So before we hop on out of here, it's time to say adios to JJ Arcega-Whiteside. And I want you to be unfiltered. I want you to have fun in saying your goodbyes to Arcega-Whiteside in the comment section before we hop on out of here. And lastly, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, because when a breaking news video like this happens and we push out a video, you will be alerted so that you can stay in the know with all things birds year round. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching today's show.